Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. My buddy Rhett's out in the living room because my son's dogs are over here. And they're crazy, 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 crazy. Oh man, it is Wednesday, the 28th, and my computer is not plugged in. My shows are going to be a little bit different for the next couple of days. Where is that thing? Um, because I'm not going to have access to my monitor. My big monitor, I have a big like 50-inch monitor up top, and then my laptop down here. But for like the next few days, I'm just going to have access to my laptop only. So that will be a thing for me to deal with, and it's gonna be interesting. It'll be interesting because like one of the differences is like I'm right now I can see exactly what's getting recorded on this lower monitor on my laptop, but for the next week it's all going to be like on like I won't be able to see what I'm coding. I can only see what I'm working on, which is interesting because for me what happens is like when I like at my job, for example, sometimes I have to go into work. Most of the time I'm working from home, but I'm a remote employee. But every once in a while I have to go in. And I live about like 20 miles away from work, but it's like takes like an hour and a half to drive there because traffic is just absolutely insane in the area where I live. Um, so um, so anyways, when I go into work, it's really tough for me to be productive because we don't really have big, nice external monitors. Some people do have external monitors, but they're not that great. Um, and you just get used to it. But anyway, so I'm trying to work on this ThreeJS table, and it's supposed to be a lot like this table. So I was just like, oh, okay, I want to do it like that. And the problem, one of the things that's different is the way the data is. So the data that comes in from here is very like one table describes all the data, but my other one or one dictionary describes all of the data. But in the other one, each dictionary only describes one row of data. And then another thing is like, I don't know, for 20 plus years, I would always build things in a way that tables, basically I'd go into the the HTML and then start fleshing out the rows and then just sort of kind of bounce back and forth between the data and the markup. But with Angular material, it's very, very different approach. I've found that it works way better to, I think it works better to set up your data and then set up um, your markup. Because really, with the markup in Angular material with the tables is more of is just more like I guess it would be like composition, I guess is what they would call it. Like you just defined how the different pieces work, and then it just takes care of it for you. Um, which I didn't really like at first, um, but anyway, so that's the way that works. So let's see, it's 9:51, Wednesday, May 28th. No, Thursday, May 28th. Whoo! And here we go. All right. So it looks like I set up a row transform yesterday. So, and I remember that it was just like, oh, okay. So each dictionary returns going to return a row, and that row is going to have the three type, which is this key. I wonder if I could say AKA key, and then for fun, just to be a pain in the butt, control dot. Is there a key? There we go. And then a count, which is just the number of records in the dictionary, and then and that basically the number of keys, and then the actual JSON stringified. And so that is what we're going to do. And oh, it looks like okay. So, and I have it all set up because the type gets passed in and then it gets that. Yeah. So it looks like that whole table row is done. And I don't usually do things that way, like where it's like I'm writing code that it's going to be used by other code. Generally, I try to go the other way around, like I would do the table transform. But anyways, I don't know how I should do this because, okay, so each one of these three things will send needs to communicate. And I don't know if I've got that set up yet. So let's go into our entities, three native. Oh yeah, that's nice. And camera. All right, so does the camera service publish? It does not. It does not publish itself. It uses this publisher service, but the publisher service, I believe, is intended. Go to definition. So this is like a service that's intended to send like uh, data for like attributes, not the entire data set. So service is intended is um, the purpose of this service is to publish ThreeJS attributes. And this is probably going to have to be completely like, it's very, very primitive. It's probably going to have to be a lot more complex than it is because there's probably going to be thousands of services or attributes that we want to publish things about. So, like likelihood that this is going to, um, the likelihood that this is going to stay as it is very low. But the thing is I really can't predict how things. So kind of like in the three table component, I'm sort of guessing ahead that I'm going to need a row transform. I really can't guess ahead with the attributes. I just don't know what they're going to be. But I did learn from this that I need to add some sort of comment or something in there to because very easy to it's very easy to like misconstrue what the purpose of this publish is, at least when you're doing this. But basically what I need to do is actually emit a signal for the camera. So anytime we add a camera, I see it's interesting because I do have a delete in for 3JS cameras. I don't think I have a delete for everything. I think that was one of the things I noticed is I don't have a delete for everything. But so anytime anything is added or deleted or even changed, it, yeah, anytime anything happens, I need to publish that there's been a change. So I'm going to need a signal for that. I kind of like, so at this point is once I get past two imports, I typically will go vertical like this, mostly because it just makes Git, it makes it less likely to have Git conflicts. And then I generally like to have like the lowercase ones first and then. So anyway, so signal. I believe it's like this, right? Signal. I don't think that's right, actually. Well, I do know need the effect, so let's go ahead and do that one. Effect. Can't remember exactly how we do the signals though, so let me go. I think it's the lowercase s. And let's go. I know I've done it tons of times in this project, so. And I really do like signals. I didn't know if I was going to like them or not. I was pretty sure I was going to like them, but wasn't 100% sure. So I'm guessing this, I must do a signal in here, right? Yes. So it's a lowercase s. And you might notice that I have like 50 Git changes right now. And I was like, what's going on? It's because I moved a bunch of stuff as part of this round of coding. Um, I moved things, and so those all get like everything got moved, even if I didn't make any changes in there, gets marked as a change, and then the deletion from the old place gets marked as a change. So there probably aren't actual code changes. Probably should have done that as its own commit. Um, excuse me, signal. All right, so we know we need that, and we know that inside this constructor, we need to set up our effect. And I guess it doesn't have to be, I thought it had to be in the constructor, but I'm actually working on another project at work, um, and it does not have to be. It can be in any of the events, like after view initialization, things like that. But anyways, effect. An effect is a function. An effect takes one argument, and that argument is another function. And then in here, we want to, I think it's almost like that should be, it's a signal itself, but let's just go ahead and make this a signal. It's like, public camera. And that is can't even remember. Let me go look at this thing, how I did this. So it's a signal, and then you say what it is. You do this generics, and then you give it some data. All right, so I'm gonna hit the back so we can get back to who we are. So signal is a function. Where are you? Equals signal 3-camera dictionary. So that's a generic, and that tells it that it's a 3-camera, and then that tells it that it's executing something. And then I think I could just say camera dictionary. I don't think, oh, I do have to say this. Now, I believe this is what's known as a writable signal. Writable. And then you have to tell it what kind. And then it brought it in for me up here. And so this is a writable signal. And in order to create a writable signal, use a signal function. And this is a kind of a real mishmash of different sorts of technologies all kind of jammed together, right? We have like this from here to here is just pure TypeScript. And then this is pure Angular. And then this is TypeScript again. And then this is JavaScript because, that's how you know. And it's hard. I don't know how, like, honestly, it's definitely possible. I've met like a lot of good, sharp, young, bright software programmers that could do Angular. So it's definitely possible to figure out how to do this stuff, but man, I don't know how. I don't know how young people today figure it out. I definitely came up in a whole different way where it was just like a much slower, like as the technology, and it was lightning fast at the time, right? But as the technology sort of evolved, um, it was weird. So, anyways, and actually the effect, actually, I kind of screwed up because that is not, we don't need the effect here. I don't think we need the constructor. Don't think we need the effect. The effect is for listening, not for publishing. And so I like to have like just like a publish function. Publish, publish camera. And I like my names to be like very um like specific. As you know, I don't really like my names to be generic in nature. Return true. And then I would definitely like to have booleans just because it makes unit tests easier. Even if it's just going to return a true or something, I still would rather have something so that in my unit tests it just reads a little better. I just say, publishes the camera dictionary result and then expect true or whatever. And then in the future that leaves me room to like sort of, if there's more logic in there and I want to return a true or false or something, I'll do that. And it wouldn't surprise me if I do like some sort of comparison or something like that, and then return true if it actually was different or something like that. But for now, um, but I do know that basically all this is going to do is um, take my dictionary and publish it. But the thing is the dictionary is an object, so it has to be like I have to somehow communicate to anything that's listening that it's different. So I have to either. So typically, what I will do is I'll have like a more primitive um, a more primitive thing, and basically, um, and this is new. I don't know. This is probably not a best practice, but I don't know what else to do. Um, But what I'll normally do, I'm sort of making this, not making this up as I go, but I'm kind of remembering as I go. Um, but what I like to do is I like to have like a public dictionary, like something like this, I think is a good way to do it. And this is a perfect example of something that I will perfect at home on my own personal projects before I try to do it. Uh, String. So it's a string, right? I would love to call it like a hash. I don't know that there's a way to create like, but basically it's just going to be a stringified version the of the um of the dictionary, right? So let me just do this. Put a little comma there. Um, Now, it's like it would be better if there was some sort of algorithm or something like some. I don't know. Okay, let's do that. Let's look that up. Um, ChatGPT. I heard somebody kind of describe like LLMs and ChatGPT yesterday as like the most intelligent child ever. Like it has no experience. It just has knowledge. And that's kind of like where I've been going with this too. It's just kind of like it just reads a bunch of stuff and then it thinks it knows everything. It's like a teenager, right? It thinks it knows everything, but it has no experience at all. Um, so, it's just one of those things where you kind of have to you kind of have to treat ChatGPT kind of like the same way you would treat like a teenager, where it's like, like you're talking to like a 14-year-old boy. He thinks he knows everything that there was ever to know. Um, okay, so the JS dictionary. Well, I guess it's really more of an object. Want to create a string that changes. That changes the data of the string changes. Like the character count. Um, a good it's not a good indicator. Well, really a primitive. It doesn't have to be a string, right? It could be anything. Um, yeah, primitive. I guess I'm misspelling primitive. I don't know. Is it I? And English is so hard. You know. And data changes. So yeah. Oh, okay. So token. Oh, called a change token. Change token. I've never heard that. I have never heard that one before. Change token. Fingerprint or a hash. So the problem with hash, because that's what I wanted to call it, a hash. The problem with hash is like a lot more than just checking. Like you need to do promises and there's math that happens and all that, and I just don't really want to do that. Common light solution, simple hash. Do I have a hash routine in here? Maybe I've already done that. Hash. Get a hash so we can know. So whatever this was, hash. Visualization IDs hash. Publisher service. What did I do in there? Hash visualization hash. I don't know how this gets calculated, but see, this is exactly what I want to do. Something along these lines. But I felt like when I went down this path before, I found out that hashes are actually, yeah, see, it's like this whole thing, right? This hash service get hash string, and it's going to give you a promise. And I guess that's probably where we're going to end up anyways. So I do already have a hash service. I guess I should just use this. Now, I feel like this was a mistake to make this a service, right? I should have made this just a regular class. There's no reason for this to be a service, but it already is. So you just get like, there's some things you really have to watch out for with like recursive, like it's circular references with services that you don't have to worry about with classes. So it looks like we already kind of solved this issue. Dictionary hash. call this a hash. It is actually a hash. And it's a writable. And the whole point of this, right? The only point of this is um, to cause an effect that fires whenever there's actually a change to the code. So this is one of my son's dogs. Her name is Roxy. She is just a bad dog. She's such a bad dog right now. But all of the best dogs we've ever had started off as bad dogs. Um, we've had some really bad dogs that ended up just like once they hit about 3 years old, they've just become just the best dogs. All right, so this is our dictionary hash, right? And then so we need the hash service though. So I'm doing my services up here. And then just double check that it brought it in from the right place. It brought it from utilities. I wish that had been a class instead of a service. So now we have our hash service. So when we publish, we're going to publish two things. We're going to publish the dictionary all together. We're going to set, okay, it's very unfortunate. I wish in Signals they'd have called it publish. Roxy! Um, she's such a bad dog. I wish they had called it publish instead of set. But I get it. I get it. But um, so when we go to publish, we're going to want to one. Okay, and we have to think in a way that is very easy to unit test, right? So based on this, so we want const is the dictionary hash. Dictionary. Well, I guess we just want to. It's weird. Okay. So const dictionary hash, which is a string. I guess we want to do like a. It would be kind of cool to do like a weight on this, but I don't do that very often. I guess we won't. So the dictionary string, and it's equal, and I'm going to say is equal to this, and then I think what we have to do is we have to go like this dot hash service dot get hash string, and then we probably give it the whole object. Dot camera dictionary. Well, let me do that. No. Okay. What does hash string want? Oh, it wants the string. Okay, so I have to stringify it. And this is kind of cool because it's actually going to force me to very like never allow like recursive things, which I actually don't have control of that in this. So this may not work. It probably will work because I think ThreeJS did a pretty good job of not having recursive non-stringifiable things. I don't think they're early on they were like that, but I believe they've gotten it then. And so what happens is Okay, so will this fire? I don't know if this is gonna. How did I do this, I wonder? Okay, so this is gonna return a promise. So this is a promise, and how did I do that, I wonder? In the, was it in here? Hash promise then. Result, and that returns true. And what? Okay, so what I'm confused about. Okay, so I do get a hash promise. I take the whole. Okay, so I stringify the whole thing. I get a hash promise. I set the hash. Then I set this hash. And it's interesting to me that this gets covered by a line of code. But I guess I'm gonna let me copy this whole thing so I have it as a reference because I do like the way I did that. I put a lot of thought into that. You could tell. Good job, Marty from, let's see, Marty from 2 months ago. That was a good job. I think. I think that was a good job. So let me just take this. So apparently this wasn't too bad to unit test. So I guess I'll just assume. Okay, so I kind of went around along that, but I guess it can't be a constant. It's got to be a let. All right, so we did that. Dictionary hash. Oh, and then I made the JSON. This can be a const. Dictionary JSON. Close. See, what a freaking rabbit hole we're in right now, right? Because we're into hashing stuff now. We were just trying to set up a table, and now we're like doing signals and hashing things and all that. And that is like it is so hard to to get stuff done. Like it is just so hard to, yeah, just to not end up just in massive distractions all the time. And I don't know, like in the future, this may end up being a problem, like being slow or something. I don't know. I guess that's a big reason why I'm doing it. All right. And I will say that this is probably a lot faster than it was the first time, right? Because we're like copying stuff over and all that. And I think we're doing a little better job writing the code to be a little bit more like maintainable than the last time. Which, that's the nature of things. Like you get better as time goes by. Now, a lot of middling developers will be like, you need to make this a result to here and stuff like that and not have everything so explicit because whatever, it just bothers them. Um, but anyway, so that is that. And then we also want to do I guess in here we probably also want to publish our guess now we probably should publish it right off the bat or set it. That's the this dot. What is it? Camera dictionary. Public camera dictionary. Dot set. So the problem with this is that, like, I don't think that that is going to be a different value, a different reference. So that means that the signal probably won't fire. The effect probably won't get called where the listener is because this camera dictionary is the same object. So it's not going to catch this difference, but it will catch that this uh, hash has changed. If anything in there changes, this hash will change. And if the hash changes, then the effect will fire in the listener, and then in that effect, it will also, when I go to get the data, it'll get the latest data. And I don't know if that is like it'll pick up the changes. And I don't know if that's always going to work that way, or if this is just like I managed to find an undocumented feature that it may or may not work in the future. Um, I mean, sometimes you do these things and then they work, and they're just like, and then they just always work. And then sometimes you do these things and then you do an upgrade, and now when you went from Angular 22 to 23 or 25 to 26, now it's not working anymore. Fortunately, I mean, and that's probably the most why it's really important to always try if you're going to do something like that's a little bit outside the lines, if you're going to color outside the lines a little bit, you really need to do it in a very consistent way so that if an upgrade does break it, you can at least go find them all. Um, but because it really wouldn't surprise me if in the future suddenly like the data doesn't change. I changed the data, but it didn't change. And it's just like, oh, okay, they changed the way that they do that. And if they do that, then I'll probably have to do some kind of other like deep copy or something. I don't know. I don't know what I'll have to do, but you know, the best that will be a lot easier to figure out when it happens than now. All right, so now we have our published dictionary, which is gonna just always return a true, and basically it's gonna publish two things. It's gonna publish the hash and the dictionary. And so we do all these things where we like see this, we take our camera. If camera, so we pass in a camera on this one and an STID. And then in our three publisher service, we do that. And so the camera itself will have changed, but that's inside of our dictionary, which is really weird, right? But right, so we're changing in something inside the dictionary, and we're not even like talking to the dictionary, and that's because this camera exists in the dictionary, and that is one of the huge things that really makes JavaScript really really powerful. But at the same time, it's so easy to create a memory leak with this. Anyways, so I'm assuming if this happens, then we need to let anyone who cares that there's a change, know. So, and then this is like kind of one of those things. I guess it's just for me, but um, See, like in our dictionary, there's a camera and it has an aspect ratio. Now we might end up, it's so wild, because yeah, we'll see. We'll see if this all works. It'll be interesting. So here we're deleting a camera by ID. So obviously we're going to be publishing that. And what is the next one up there? Get camera. Okay, so getting the camera by ID should not cause a change, but set camera position should definitely cause a publish. And creating a camera definitely should cause a publish. So all those things cause a publish, and we have our publish, and blah, blah, blah. Now, back to our entity table. And in here we have our effect. Is that, oh, not entity table. Here, let's go to this view over here. Let's go to our 3 table. Okay. So in here, we're going to do our set up our effect. And this is where we listen, and we do not have the effect, and I'm confident we're going to have more than 3 things. So let's go ahead and just take care of that now. An effect wants a function. And basically it just says that const camera hash three camera hash is equal to this dot. Do we bring in the camera service yet? We are not bringing in the 3 camera service yet. And that is going to require the inject, EFGHI inject. And so I believe it's it's called the camera service. I really wish I'd have called that the 3 camera service. I remember going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on that. And at this point, I decided I wish I'd have called it the 3 camera service, but we don't. But I can always call it that here, and I could call it 3 camera service, and it is the camera service, which is not being input, which is now being officially imported on line 10 up there. Inject and then camera service. Now, so the idea is that this dot camera service dot public camera dictionary dot hash. So this is just going to cause this effect to run every time this hash changes. And the hash is a string. And so it's going to take the JSON, it's going to break it down into individual characters. It's going to run a hash on that, and then it's going to return that value, the hash value. I don't know why I did it that way, but I've done it that way in other places, so I would like to stay consistent. It's kind of like one of these things where it's like that. So there's that. So we have a signal. I don't remember if that's how I do it every time, but I like this little phone for a signal. Signal. so this thing has two signals that it's going to listen for. Well, it's going to listen to a lot more than that, though. And I guess we don't even need to make a variable. Yeah, that's interesting. Never really thought about it, but we don't really need a variable for the dictionary. It can just be inside of here, which is really nice because then our chances of creating a memory leak in here go way down. So three camera dictionary dot three camera service dot dictionary. So again, just to be clear, this, if there's any change within the object, this one will change and this will fire. This will not, but because we're calling it, it will, for some reason, it'll get the actual latest one, which is great. But I do like to, at the beginning of my effects, to have all the signals that I'm using. I don't know if that's something I'm going to always stay with, but three camera dictionary. Okay, I don't think I need this comment anymore. All right, so then basically log three camera dictionary comma three comma. So this is the general idea, is that we're going to take this and we are going to print it out and we'll see what we get in here. F12. All right, so our three camera dictionary object is this. And the general idea is that if we were to add a new one, so here's our new three camera dictionary. And it's good news because we're able to completely stringify it without any issues. So none of these things have like references back up into the parent. As you can see, there's so many variables and so many different attributes that we could set. We could set the zoom. We could set the far, the film gauge. I don't even know what that is. Film offset, focus, all kinds of stuff. So frustrum cold, true. Is camera, true. Is object 3D, true. Is perspective camera, true. So anyways, now we have all of this. Now what would be good is to convert this into a row, right? So I should be able to say, let's see, this dot table row transform, and then I guess we want to tell it that it's a camera. Because that's the type. And then we want to give it the cat dictionary. And that should give us a row. That should give us a row. It's kind of crazy that this, oh no, this is still empty. Oh, see, our count is 0. Our JSON is that. See, that's perfect. Add viz. Oh, even more perfect. So we have this is our row. It's got, the type is camera. the count is 1, and this is the JSON. Add another one. As you see, now we have a count of 2, and this is our JSON. It's just so nice. So now we have some data for our data source. But our data source doesn't get printed anywhere or anything like that. Probably the next best step will be to actually get the data and make it into or actually set the data source and then set up the table. And then once all that's wired up, circle back and finish off setting up the geometry rows and setting up the keys. So basically, like, there's going to be a camera. Like, there's going to be a table, and one row will be camera, and it'll say that it's of type camera, that it's got 2 of them, and you'll have this little JSON in there. And then it'll be expandable, and if you expand it, it'll just have the JSON in there, and I'll have the JSON sort of formatted so that it's like got like indentions and stuff like that. I learned how to do that doing something at work, I think. There's like that JSON stringify, I think, if you say comma and then like 2 or something like that, a number, I think it breaks it down so that you can have new lines and stuff like that. But anyways, I think that's a good stopping spot. Happy coding, everybody. Bye.